Hi, welcome to the 2026 Console Room Chibnall-Era Deep Dive panel. The Console Room convention is January 23rd to 25th, 2026, but this is actually pre-recorded on December 29th. It's a hybrid convention, both in person in Minnesota and on Discord online, and 501c3 nonprofit. This panel will be focusing on Series 11, but you should also check out our other two panels for Series 12 and 13. And now I'm going to go around with introductions. My name is Charlie. My pronouns are they, them. On social media, I'm She Regenerated 13. I'm an artist, cosplayer, writer, whatever, Whovian. And I was also a panelist last year on the disability and Doctor Who panel, and then I think an LGBTQ panel as well. But yeah, I love creating, like making everything from custom clay ice cream cones with light fixtures so your hand glows like 13s when she's regenerating, to like custom Dasman pride flags, which I don't have up right now, to like choose your own adventure game inspired by Flux that I'm currently hyperfixated on. And then I also run a Thasman server on Discord, amongst other things. Anyway, I will go ahead and pass over to Katherine.
Which one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, we have two. You spoke first, so you can go first.
Which one? Well, I'm Katherine. I write fantasy and science fiction. I'm also a classic fan, so I have an entry in The Outside In Regenerates and in Children of Time, The Companions of Doctor Who. And I've also been a fan, oh gosh. My fan club kept writing letters to KTCA to get them on the air. So I've been a fan that long.
Wow.
And over to Katherine.
Other Katherine, yes, I actually almost definitely have at least one of your works on my shelf behind me. I have kind of my Doctor Who stuff over here by the little Dalek on the shelf. Yeah, my name's Katherine. Pronouns are she, her. I have been a lifelong Doctor Who fan. I feel like for an American, I started very early in 2006 because there was a weird 6-month gap between UK and US premiere. And I started basically with the Ninth Doctor and have been a fan since. I think I jumped into from a casual fan to a super fan during lockdown, and it just hasn't really gone away. So I have my little 13th Doctor Build-A-Bear with me, a great comfort item. And I love that you mentioned Thasman because I'm very much more into the Doctor Master side of things, at least regarding shipping. Yeah, I have not done a ton of art. I've done a little bit, but chronic pain's been in the way of that, but I'm doing more lately. So yeah, my main fandom contribution is this con, been going since 2022. Last year I did that disability panel along with a panel about the Master and then one about Doctor Who and music, since I do have a Bachelor of Music, technically speaking. Yeah, so that's me. And Amber, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Amber. I use she, her pronouns. I feel like I started watching Doctor Who kind of late-ish, not so much now, I suppose, since 2013. So it's been a bit now. But it took a lot of wheedling from friends who insisted I would love this show, and I was really not sure about it, and still wasn't sure about it for the first 6 episodes. And I think when the Dalek shows up with the Ninth Doctor is when I was kind of sold, and then I got sold really hard on the show. My husband and I actually celebrated our first wedding anniversary at the very first console room. And then I volunteered on ConCom for the next decade. So I love Doctor Who, love console room, and super excited to talk Doctor Who.
Awesome. Yeah, since we're all sharing our how we got into Doctor Who stories, I think it was high school, and I started with 9. I don't remember who recommended the show to me, but I sat down with the Rose episode, and I was just evil mannequins?
Right.
What is this? I don't know. So I just was I don't know about this. But then I came back to it a few months later, sat through a couple episodes, and then I was just like a Whovian. Like it must have clicked at some point because I mean, here I am. Um, and then I don't think I joined the online fandom too much until early 2020.
So around the same time as you.
Yeah, when you know the online fandom that was everything. You know,
Yeah.
that time. So, um, yeah, but let's go ahead and dive into series 11. Start with kind of like overall thoughts before we get into that specific episodes.
Yeah, I will chime in just because I think series 11 is very interesting in that it's such a jump kind of in feel from the earlier part of New Who. Like, I mean, it's different in the way that it doesn't have any recurring villains until the, resolution special, and then is more individual standalone. I feel like it has almost more of a classic Who vibe. I've been watching a lot of classic Who lately. Especially like I mentioned, like having 3 companions, which I think kind of shows that can be hard with modern Who pacing being a bit faster. But I don't know, I thought it's very interesting because a lot of people, I think it can be seen as more controversial, but I think it was just such a shift in tone. I really like it, but it is definitely like a different direction in style, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, starting off with the first name of the first episode, The Woman Who Fell from Earth, he's doing a real misleading things with titles. You think it's one thing and then it turns out to be another. That happens a lot with these episodes for the 11th season 11, which is an interesting little job of misdirection. Yeah, you think you're going to expect to find the classic monsters, but he's not. He's going to bring in new creatures and new writers and new directors, which was fantastic for that classic.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I've been rewatching the season again, binging it as quickly as I could. I didn't quite get through all of this season just quite yet. But I think I started with Twice Upon a Time, which was the 12th Doctor's last one episode, the holiday episode, heading into Jodie's the regeneration into Jodie as the Doctor. Um, and it's one of my favorite episodes of Doctor Who, I think, of all time. So it's hard to kind of follow that. And I think I always kind of struggle with the first season because the energy is so different. Even regardless of like storytelling differences, just getting kind of used to the Doctor always feels a little bit different. But I think now that this is, I don't know, 4th or 5th time I've rewatched these episodes, I do like an annual rewatch every time we're coming up on Console Room because, of course, watching more Doctor Who is always fun. Um, so, but I think part of that actually does happen a lot. So similarly to previous ones, I think we do tend to kick off with a new Doctor and with sort of a exuberant energy that can feel a little overwhelming especially while we're also adjusting to the Doctor. But yeah, Katherine, to your point too, like I'm rewatching this again. They bring in Tim Shaw like right at the beginning, who does show up again later, and they kind of bring in a couple references. I think there was a reference in episode 2 with again the Ghost Monument, kind of. But he doesn't really show up as like an overarching villain through it. But what I have noticed is there is well, they haven't had like a villain kind of coming up recurringly throughout all these episodes. They have had the theme of grief showing up pretty frequently because they're, I guess, spoilers, I guess, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, but they're very frequently, every episode so far, I think, that I've been watching on the rewatch has been dealing with Grace's death from episode 1. And they're dealing with like how that's impacting them and how it's informing their decisions to like stay with the Doctor and continue on these travels and kind of help bring their fam together. So I do think that's kind of interesting as a little bit of a through line. That's maybe a little bit of a different because they've a different kind of thing because we've got kind of like our adventure of the week sort of thing.
Yeah.
But that keeps popping up. So I did think that was sort of an interesting piece.
Yeah, kind of touching on the grief and grace thing, and not to go too much into music because I feel like we could go into that a lot, but like like um like Grace kind of being the glue, kind of keeping it all together, like on in the audio alone was like really a cool little element. And like if we don't get to talk about it too much, there is Richard Lloyd's Music of Who series on YouTube, which I found really fascinating, and I shared with the composer Akinola as well when I saw him at a convention. But yeah, I really liked the like inclusivity, the costuming, like took a sec to settle in, and now it's like my favorite thing. Like I got to meet Ray Holman and like learn all about like the costuming, and like Jodie's like number one first request was to have like pride colors, so that's awesome. And I like enjoyed the kind of classic vibes and how it was like romance light. I know I love Thasmin, but also I like it was a kind of a relief after the like amplified romance element for so many seasons. And I like the little seeds planted for like the timeless child stuff. And I also thought that like not having like any of the like classic main villains until like the first special, that was also like a big swing too. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And I think too it's the largest group of companions in New Who.
At least all at once, yeah.
All at once,
yeah. Back to Hard-Nosed Companions, yeah.
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 Which is a little bit of a different vibe.
For sure. Did we want to jump into the woman who fell to Earth? I know we touched on it a bit already, just kind of in the big picture stuff. But I will say I love it. Best costume for Jodie Whittaker, but I also love Soft Butch. So what can I say? But yeah, no, I probably watch this the most, not just to indoctrinate my friends, but yeah, I don't know. It's really fun just getting to see her kind of figure out her new self. So that's a great one.
Yeah, so several, I love to pick favorite quotes. So I like empty pockets.
Yeah.
Is one thing that she's not happy about. And then when she actually tries to summarize herself, I'm the doctor. When people need help, I never refuse. And her other quote, I'm just a traveler. Sometimes I see things needing fixing. I do what I can. It's like, that sums her up right there. It's perfect.
Yeah. It's a good, I know we talk a lot in like Who fandom about like what's a good intro episode, and it's always I mean I always say like start with the Ninth Doctor. When I always I'll start at least the beginning of the classic or the beginning of New Who. I mean classic Who is great too. But I get that it can feel like a little bit more of a jump if you're not as used to like kind of the pacing of television from at that time. But it's a good intro to who the Doctor is, and I think they do such a good job. One of the challenging things I find when you have like larger ensembles in media in general is that they don't always introduce the characters particularly well. Like either you're getting like everybody's thrown in, or you're spending so much time introducing them that we've missed the story, and we've just been like trying to get to know the characters without them actually doing anything. And I felt like this did such a good job of like we get this little like vignette of like each character and kind of what their life is like and what they're dealing with, and then you see them sort of naturally coming together as we go. And that really happened like when all of everybody gathering together when they first meet the Doctor felt like I kind of understand who you all are now. As we're going through, and then the Doctor does such a good job of like introducing like what the Doctor is. Like it's a good intro episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there are a few spots where I like could recommend starting with Doctor Who, and this is definitely like one of those points where it's a good point to jump in. Yeah, I love this episode. I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Shaw, but like there's so many great things about this episode, and whenever I go to rewatch it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love this part. I love this part. Like Yaz's entry being like, ladies, please. Like, iconic entrance right there. And I love like that we got the sort of like inventor 13. She made her own Sonic with the spoons and the goggles, and she like how she talked about regeneration and like shaping yourself toward instincts. That was just like a beautiful speech. There are actually a lot of like really good quotes from the first episode, especially like I have a bunch written here and I have a bunch memorized.
My favorite, not anymore. I laugh at that every time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, one that I haven't heard like other people talk about really is just like this little one from Yaz that I use a lot and I think about a lot, and it's just every day is a learning day. She literally climbs a crane and she's just like, well, guess I'm operating a crane. Yes, I love that one. I love the we're all capable of the most incredible change. We can evolve while still staying true to who we are. We can honor who we've been and choose who we want to be next. And that's like, that ties a lot with like my own journey as well, on like multiple levels. And then of course there's her like, I'm the doctor, sorting fair play about the universe. Great explanation, great intro. And another just little iconic moment is 13 literally like coming out of the closet, just like bursting out, covered in rainbows.
That's so
covered in rainbows. I turned it into a GIF. I was just like, hello LGBTQ community, and it's just 13. And I use that to start lots of conversation.
Amazing. I love that.
So iconic.
I do think a couple of you mentioned the costuming too, and I do very much appreciate, just as also a cosplayer, how many pockets are in her outfit. I love it so much, and it's comfortable. It's comfortable to move in, and there are so many storage opportunities. So like, I really appreciate that. But I do think like there's so many good things in this episode. I think there was an awful lot of pressure on this particular episode when it came out too. So I feel like you can see that, and now especially having watched it several times now, I feel like you can see like they were very intentional about how they put this episode together, because it's a big moment in Doctor Who history.
Yeah, I feel like they stuck the landing with this one. It's like a great starter.
Yeah, talking about sticking the landing, Jodie's first day was on the crane, wasn't it?
Wow.
Oh no,
I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, like that's a big first day.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, the costume, again, the inclusivity of it, anyone can wear it. That was another thing like Jodie wanted. And I'm sure like, everyone involved was like really good about that stuff. And it's super special to me and other cosplayers and non-binary people and trans people like watching this too. And if I recall correctly, Jodie actually wanted shorter hair, so
they took her pixie cut because
I'll take the bob.
I'm wearing it every day. Soft butch 13, you are real to me. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I won't go on about that too much. Just looking at time, did you want to move on to the Ghost Monument? I will give my little tidbit of this is I do find the story quite forgettable. However, like this one just does not stick in my brain compared to the other ones. The cinematography, gorgeous, and some of the best like 13th Doctor TARDIS moments. Their relationship, I mean, the Doctor and the TARDIS is like, that's their one true love in my interpretation. Like that's the one that's staying there forever, no matter what happens with companions. So it's very special to me, and I love it, and it's near and dear to my heart. And also, there are some absolutely gorgeous shots in this. This episode is like, we're gonna be visually gorgeous this season. By the way, just a heads up. Those are my thoughts.
And the way that they got around for the fact that the TARDIS is not there to translate by having the people who pick them up implant translators in them. Good throw.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I've seen this one a few times, and every time I start watching this one, I'm like, right, yes, this is the one with like the floating fabric things and the game, and the one piece that I remember is the TARDIS. Otherwise it was sort of It's fine.
Yeah.
Most of the episodes, like I enjoy it, and if I didn't remember it that well, then I get to enjoy it again.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But yeah, like as far as like we come from these like really memorable, quotable moments from episode 1, and then episode 2 just served its purpose to get us back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
They had the little hint, like you were saying, the fabric, getting that little hint to the timeless child.
Yeah, that's the other part I remember is like, oh yeah, this is the first little seed planted about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I totally interpreted it as like she's the timeless child, like right from that moment. And then later on, I was like, wait, did people forget that? Was it not clear? I got that. Did other people get something else? I was so confused. This whole time I was just like, yeah, 13's the timeless child. Moving on. Totally
Fair.
different experience.
Yeah,
I wonder how that changed
people.
Yeah. Because there was
I don't know
between that.
Yeah, I don't know like what the intent was with that, or like it was maybe like an autistic communication thing. I don't know, but I wonder how that like shaped how I viewed the show, knowing that like earlier on. I don't really know, but I think it impacted as like the reveal later on. Hold on, that's series 12. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We'll
yeah.
And those are referenced back to a classic episode by having her do Venetian keto.
I love the Third Doctor.
You practice those lines in the mirror.
Yes. That is fun throwback. Absolutely.
And stars for Graham for calling out like, can people and things stop putting stuff inside me without my permission? Because that's also another thing where I'm like, what if like if there was like a linguist character that became a companion and they spent all their life learning all these languages, and then all of a sudden like how would they feel about that? I just think some of this stuff's like really interesting because there's no like you're not like, you know, signing a thing to have the TARDIS do stuff, and
no waivers.
And then this is a very literal like put it in their body. I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm with Graham.
And the fact that they're being really realistic and having Graham wheezing after running. It's like, sometimes the companions keep running and they have no trouble. And Graham's wheezing.
More disabled companions. I want it. Shout out to the dyspraxia making an appearance here. And then that also like times out with like when Ryan's musical theme comes in too in that episode. And I love the Call of Duty moment. That was that was great. He was just like, never mind. Regrets.
Did we want to hop over to Rosa? I'm just trying to keep roughly 5 minutes per episode, but again, we can always go a little over under, which this episode I really love. I'm going to mention the music specifically. Yes, Murray Gold is very famous for his very post-romantic John Williams-esque works, but Sego Nakinola has the range because he has this much more atmospheric industrial kind of sound. And then with Rosa, one of the books I have is an academic like publication about the 13th Doctor, and there's one about specifically music because I did way too much musicology in college, so now I read it for fun. Basically where he was deliberately like Americana style. Oh my god, the composer's name is escaping me, which is embarrassing as a musician, but I'll mention it later. But basically very like American kind of bright brassy Appalachian kind of inspired music it's very different from the other two episodes, so I feel like that's really good. Like this is also what he can do.
And having the ending music being Rise Up rather than the regular theme music.
Which I will say, I'm a choir nerd, and there's a really great history of Black spirituals being used as protest music, so I was a little disappointed they didn't do one of those famous songs. Like We Shall Overcome, I like sung at protests for reference of just how iconic it is. But that was still a good, I think it was very modern for what was music-wise, it was a very period music, but it's still a great song and a great, like, meaningful wise, like, performance.
Yeah, I think this episode just I think we dive into the past quite a bit in this season overall, I think, starting with Rosa. And I appreciated that this one, like this is a heavy topic that we were digging into. And so we've had some like a lot of energy in the first kind of 2 episodes, just kind of gathering everybody together, getting back to our ship. And then it gets really serious. And there's still, I mean, like there's like the time traveling, making small changes. Like there's some kind of um uh time silliness, I feel like a little bit. So they're dealing with, I mean, I'm not going to remember the other guy's name that was kind of making the small changes to try and change history. But like the episode overall, like and I what I would really appreciate in storytelling is when we take a moment to like pause. And it's one of my biggest criticisms overall of Chibnall as a storyteller is I feel like he doesn't tend to take very many moments to pause and let like a moment sink in, so that you can really kind of feel the depth of emotion that the characters might be going through. And I do think, I just rewatched this one today. I do think we got that moment at that end when you kind of we got some quiet moments where we got to like understand like through how the times were and how that was impacting some of the companions. And then at the moment, like knowing, like Graham knowing that like he was kind of part of the reason why why Rosa did what she did in this story and kind of impacted it, and it felt really icky to him too, and you had to kind of sit with it because it ends up causing this like cascade of momentum. And kind of seeing how that was impacting all the characters. I do think we got a moment to like sit with and understand how this was impacting each individual person. It is one of the moments where one point of criticism from my perspective on Rosa. It's one of the episodes where I noticed, and it recurs throughout, that we tend to do an exposition dump at the end. And we did a bit of an exposition dump. We had this like beautiful moment. And then we did a little bit of an exposition dump about like how everything changes based on this, and like what happens after, which is it's nice, I guess, but I kind of wish that we'd heard a little bit more of that in the story rather than pausing like in the TARDIS at the end for us to like do a recap of what happens next. So that's my like one small disappointment with this episode, mostly because I noticed it here and then it happens all the time that we get like an exposition dump at the end. But I do appreciate this episode and just being able to dig into some heavy topics, and actually letting the characters live it and understand like how it was feeling with them, because we don't always get that.
And giving Ryan a little chance of hero worship because every time he meets a new civil rights
Yeah.
figure, he's basically telling the full name.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's really cool of having Ryan get to kind of interact with those heroes, as it were. And yeah, I was thinking like, yeah, they literally don't pull punches at the beginning. Like I was scared because the American South, I'm like, I don't know how much a UK audience knows, but that's a dangerous thing to have happen. My only criticism of this episode from a historical perspective is that they didn't hit home that this was something planned necessarily. Like historically speaking, it was originally a pregnant young Black teen, like girl that was refusing to give up her seat, but those like again, Rosa was already an activist at that time. She was like, the optics of this, we know are going to be spun terribly, so then they recreated it with an innocent old lady, kind of is what happened. So that's something that I was a little disappointed they didn't specify, but I'm also like, I don't know how much UK audiences, writers are taught about this, so maybe you just generally didn't know. But that's my one little historical kind of critique.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They nod to like at least she was an activist because she's clearly meeting with other activists. But they didn't really dig into what happened there. It was mostly an opportunity, I think, for Ryan to kind of be a fan.
Yeah, right. Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about this specific episode, or do we want to move on to
Yeah.
arachnids?
Yes. Yeah, I will throw out a couple things about this episode. 13 is Banksy. I love that. The doctor is Banksy. And also like watching this and thinking about like or like kind of comparing it to what was it, the Shakespeare's Code, and like when 10 was traveling with Martha, and the difference and consideration with the doctor and companions, and how, you know, traveling in the past is like for them versus the doctor who's like, oh, just, you know, act like you own the place. Very different now. And Yaz had that nice speech where they were hiding by the bins. Ryan, one of the things that I forget about a lot of the times is like Ryan had a cool moment where he like sent Krasko back to the Jurassic era. I forget that happened a lot, but he's just like, you know, you're stuck living in the past. Like, why don't you go there?
Yeah.
That was great. I'm sure lots of folks like wish they could just like send people back like that. And then like shout out to Mallory Blackman, the first non-white writer to contribute to a script for Doctor Who. Yes.
Diversity in front of and behind the screen is something that I think Chibnall really kind of used his privilege for good in that way.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I was glad that we got some of that with the teams here.
Okay, then with that, let's jump to Arachnids in the UK. There are some great lines in this. I rewatching it. There's a lot of really good, funny bits, which makes me sad because episode-wise, I don't love it because the morals don't make sense to me. And I feel like that's a pretty popular opinion, but y'all are free to disagree. But that don't make sense for me. But there are some really amazing one-liners and really funny character moments. So those are kind of my big picture thoughts of this episode specifically.
Oh, this one's hard for me because of the spiders. So I feel like
most shorter here.
Yeah. I feel like most of it I'm just kind of like, oh, there's a spider, I can't watch. Like because they're very large and they're very deep and they're like zoomed in half the time they show up there. And I don't like that. So this is tough.
My sister skipped this episode because of that.
Fair.
But the doctor talks to the spider. This episode's more of a combination of classic episodes, the Green Death and Planet of the Spiders.
Yeah.
You have the spiders being intelligent. And little funny moments like Ryan making finger shadows.
Yes, I was gonna mention that. I like you can see I've seen gifs of it, but like he makes shadow puppets when they're exploring the lab, like he's in the background.
Was that improv? I gotta check the scripts because that was hilarious.
No matter what, whether it was written or not, it's good stuff. It makes my heart happy.
Yes. Yeah, since a couple of you mentioned like arachnophobia, I refer to this episode like more as like arachnophobia in the UK because I cut my own version without the spiders and I added in some like kind of like little jokes sort of in the meantime. And there's like someone else, I learned that someone else did this too and they call theirs Spooderless in the UK. But yeah, this is like a thing. A lot of people are just like, no spiders, please.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to add something? Because I feel like I'm just going to get super excited when I start talking about it next. So
let's see. We've got psychic papers referred to. We've got hints of Smith and Tennant in the speech patterns sometimes. So she's basically going back to her previous life. Yaz's mom telling her boss, "You're not the boss of me anymore."
Yeah, there's some good character stuff with Yaz and her seeing her family dynamic. That's another kind of. This is kind of the first one where we see her family, I feel like. So that's fun.
Yeah, I think the scripts.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the script actually like kind of called them like a family of hoarders or something. I was rereading the scripts recently.
Oh, I feel like
I fully just thought it was a Hakeem, but I don't know.
I just feel like it looks like just a normal messy house of multi-generational living.
Yeah.
But maybe that says more about my living. But Yeah, the only other thing I could think of is I feel like that first plants the first Phasmin seed, which I know at the time they didn't say that like at that point they were going to deliberately bring that in, but and like part of me could see like okay they're saying it, but it's kind of as a joke line, so maybe not the most progressive context of having that line, but the like are you what is the exact line like are you a couple and
Are
then
you two seeing
13's
each
just like-
other?
she's like are we, which I love, also probably autistic myself being like wait. I need to check. Is this happening?
Real.
Like her very matter of factness of it. I love that. And yeah, kind of that first like seed planted, I feel like, in a more explicit context, as it were.
Yes. This is where I was like, does anyone else want to go first? Because I get really excited about this. Yes, this is the episode where like Phasmin became a thing like on a larger scale in the fandom a bit anyway. This is where a lot of people say like they started shipping Phasmin. And we have like the I want more of the universe, more time with you. You're like the best person I ever met. And if you compare that to later on, like that's basically a marriage proposal, like based on what Yaz said later when we talk about Ascension of the Cybermen. I'll talk about it more. But yeah, and Yaz's mom Nadia saying like, are you two seeing each other? And the doctor's just like, I don't think so. Are we? Like fully the ball is in Yaz's court. Okay.
Yeah.
But little baby gay is just like gay panic.
Yeah. It's like,
we're friends. I love her. Oh my gosh. Oh, and then Ed Sheeran. Is he Ed Sheeran?
That is a good bit. That's what I mean. There's a lot of really
yes.
like there's just so many witty one-liners that I feel like the kind of weird plot could get lost, but rewatching it I'm always like, okay, there's a lot of good quips here.
Yes, there's also the bum bag, which was great for me because like I need to carry a little fanny pack. So I just like count that literally as part of my cosplay. It's literally just like an accommodation for me and my disability stuff. But I love that. And it was also on the original like costume idea list. So they were kind of like trying it out, I'm guessing. But I think it like probably flopped around when she was running. That's what I guess, because like running with a bum bag's not really fun. But yeah, and then because we're talking about Phasmin a little bit, I'll go a little bit into Phasmin because it's with this episode. Like Chris Chibnall in Doctor Who magazine had talked about it. Let's see. Yeah, he said like that's interesting. We can slow burn that, and I think that was like he specifically called out like arachnids in the UK front and center, like when Yaz asked them if they were dating. And like later in the episode with Yaz saying like, you're the best person I've ever met, and like her like it really felt like to me like her main thing was like this unspoken like I don't really know what this is, but like I really want to travel with you kind of thing. I feel that is a little baby gay feeling. And I feel like because a bunch of different people involved with the show had like different perspectives on like when Phasmin started or like started being intentional. And I totally get that with like, you know, they all know different things and they all feel and like kind of want to do things differently. And they're not necessarily all communicating with each other or all in agreement at any certain point. Like Mandip, I feel like was just like captain of the ship, like from the get-go. Back in the Twitter days, like constantly engaging with the fans and like chatting with us and everything and sharing our artwork and made her own Phasmin fan art, all sorts of fun stuff. But yeah, like the Chib said like we noticed a real intensity with Mandip's performance. It started to read on screen, like maybe partly because of their friendship off screen, partly like it's just how the characters were, and they started making like very deliberate decisions in terms of costume and started laying some things in. And then we'll get into series 12 like later on in that quote. But I remember like talking about the costume and like the earrings. If you next time you rewatch, like pay attention to like Yaz's earrings and stuff, like there's all sorts of like little things dropped in there. And I always think that's like really fun to look for, and I'm always noticing new things.
Yeah. I will say just for time, we are like 40 minutes in and we're only 4 episodes in, so we might have to touch a few of them, or a little lighter. One episode that I definitely feel like deserves to be called out for a little more talk time is Demons of Punjab, but it's also one of my favorite episodes ever. But the next one we have on the list is the Saranga Conundrum. I love this one. I was so sad that the Pating did not become the new Adipose, branding wise, but he has a special place in my heart. I feel like this one also has a lot of classic Who vibes, just in the kind of premise of the story. So I don't know. I've heard that there's like mixed opinions about this in the fandom in general. I think it's cute, fun, space romp. No notes.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I mean, the Doctor describing herself as a doctor of medicine, science, engineering, candy floss, Lego, philosophy, music, problems, people, and hope. Mostly hope.
Yeah, that's a great quote from this specific episode.
Yeah, I think it was fun. I get a little bit extra joy now that I've seen Ted Lasso, because the actor who plays Roy Kent is the he's one of the main characters on the ship, one of the medical professionals. So there's a little part of me that's just like super excited about that. Otherwise I just think it's fun. The Pating is cute. It would be nice to see it again. But it's in this sort of weird space, I feel like, where it's like very aggressive, kind of.
Yeah.
Like hungry.
Also
but also like adorable. Right. so like
yeah.
I could see where maybe they would have a hard time bringing it in because it's so just like aggressively hungry.
It's just a little guy.
I know.
Yeah, he just needs a Snickers, that's all.
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't even need people.
Back later on in the prison ship.
Oh, on which ship?
Oh, is it? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was in prison with Jodie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it is there for like a moment, like kind of a blink and you miss it little Easter egg. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I want it to be a bestie.
Yeah. Like recurring.
Like,
yeah.
So cute.
Oh, I made fan art with the Pating before because in a little like live stream Jodie and Mandip did, and they were talking about like what pet or like creature or whatever they'd want to bring on board the TARDIS. I think Jodie said the Pating, and so I just drew them like walking, like Yaz had a bunny and like 13 had the Pating.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Chaos.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
It ate her Sonic.
Yeah, it's a good thing the TARDIS is organic, sort of. I don't know how that would work, but it is infinite, so endless snacks, I guess.
Maybe you would finally get full.
Yeah.
Another quote is hope doesn't just offer itself up. You have to use your imagination, imagine a solution, and work to make it a reality. Whole worlds pivot on acts of imagination. But yeah, mostly I think of
you sorting all this out.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love the scene where she's like freaking out about the basically like mini nuclear reactor or something along those lines, of her just being like so in love with like the science of it. I love that as well. It's like one of my favorite parts.
Conceptually and actually.
Yes.
That was a beautiful little moment. I love that. And I also love her being a terrible patient. She was like and having to like kind of face that. And all the companions, they went through the same thing. They're not complaining.
No, yeah, I do love that. I don't know if there's any other thoughts or if we're good to jump to the Demons of the Punjab.
Jump.
Okay, I love this episode so much. This is the one episode I've been with my husband for like 10 years. This is the one episode that he loves. And I made him watch a lot of Doctor Who. If anything, he's great, very funny commentary because, you know, it's campy and silly. So I'm not offended if he's not a fan. But this one, he's like, this is a great episode. And it's in like the story, in like the history of it. I could also talk about the music a lot. I love Carnatic music. That's specifically like South Asian style of music, and how they brought things like traditional like Telugu like drums and the sitar, which is kind of like a really long string instrument, and like Carnatic scales in the singing in that style. Doing a cover of that for the like theme song. Oh, so good. Anyways, love this episode for a lot of reasons. Great historical, great kind of anti-colonial history. And just great writing, directing. It's beautiful. Love it. Mwah, mwah. This is one of my favorite Doctor Who episodes, period. Not just like 13th Doctor era or favorite episodes of my favorite Doctor. Just one of the top.
This is another of the misleading ones where you think it's one thing and then you find out it's something else.
Yeah. And it also ties into that theme of grief, and then less specific, I feel like, to season 11, but like series 11, but just her era overall. Lots of themes about family. That's huge because the whole premise is going to see Yaz's grandma in the past. So yeah, lots. I have a lot of thoughts. I could go on and on, but I just had to just shout about my love letter to this episode.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful episode. It is probably my favorite 13th Doctor episode. Definitely my favorite of this season, hands down. I feel like every piece of it is so beautifully done, and we get to like really live with the characters, which is that's my thing. I want to feel like I understand them, and understand what they're going through, and it just feels real. It feels grounded, even with the not assassin aliens. Like it feels solid and real, and I love it. It's a beautiful episode.
Charlie, any specific thoughts about this episode?
Yes, I love this episode. And I actually have like some personal stories like tagged to it too. Like actually like took pictures of like an impromptu sort of ceremony with the 13th Doctor's like love in all its forms is the most powerful weapon we have. Like her speech being like performed for some like newly engaged folks, and I like took some pictures, and so I get to share like a super like special experience with that with my friend Katie. And then I remember when I was watching this episode, another thing I thought of was like the Doctor, like I know there's another episode where she's like, oh, I'm a sucker for a scientist, but the Doctor's like a sucker for like a pretty human girl, because just like with Rose going back in the timeline, just like, Doctor, you know you should be doing this.
I just have to mention, that reminded me. So my best friend got married last October, and she told me about this ahead of time. She's like, Katherine, I'm going to say this so then you're normal during it, because she knows that I'm really into Doctor Who. She's like, there is Doctor Who in our vows, like in our ceremony. And I was like, yes. But then during it, I was just sitting there like vibrating to myself, because I was like, I didn't know it was like my favorite Doctor and one of my favorite episodes of all time, because that quote was in their vows. So just had to share that. Also, I feel like the fact that multiple people have mentioned this in weddings is like just shows the power of this episode. Oh, it is so good.
I love it. And then another thing I want to point out is just like I love the like I just like, I guess gender chaos would be a better way to put it than gender confusion, but I usually default to that. I think probably because it's used like in a negative way a lot of the time, but I don't mean it that way. I mean like, and since I read the scripts, like it wasn't scripted as far as like the version they published, but like when Umbreen is like, you know, boys go over there and like girls come with me to do the henna and everything, 13 like looks over at Yaz, and like Yaz gives her a little nod as if to be like, is that me? Do I go with you? And it's just like further explored with like when she's looking at her hands and she's like, this is the best thing ever. Like, never did this when I was a man. And then Yaz just like glaring. Just like laser eyes, just like, Doctor, you and your jokes.
Yeah, that was great recovery. I also love, that kind of way that the 13th Doctor approaches gender is kind of like, I would like, there's a lot of great non-binary headcanons. I think her representation as a woman is important to me personally in my own interpretation. But I feel like if you ask, like, are you a woman? She'd go like, yeah, sure. Like, it's fluid. It's not like, I'm for sure a woman. She's more like, people are like, oh, you're a woman. She's like, oh yeah, I could be. Like, let's go with that, sure. It's not too strict.
She just kind of goes with whatever, you know, like people want to see, kind of. I don't know. Yeah.
She's like that.
Until we get the witchfinders.
Yeah, that's true. And we have like around 10, maybe 15 if we squeeze it left. But yeah, next episode of this is Kerblam. And just in the list, so that's episode 7. Lots of parts of it that I really love. Lots of parts. There's a few parts that I don't super love, but that is maybe me being a little more radical than the polite neoliberal writer of the show. Although this one isn't technically a, let me see, yeah, this is not a Chibnall story, but basically the system isn't the problem. That one line, I'm like, I'm gonna pretend you didn't just say that, but the rest of the episode, lots of very fun things.
I'm gonna say that this one, and I haven't quite gotten to this one in my rewatch just yet. But as one of the ones that I definitely, it was one of the more enjoyable ones, I think, when I watched through the first few times. And I enjoy it. I think it hits a little bit hard at the moment with AI.
Oh yeah.
Being everywhere, because one of the big things there was like, oh, we have to make sure we have like what 10% humans hired or something, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't know, it hits a little hard
Yeah.
at the moment on a rewatch. It's an interesting concept that they kind of dug into that, but a good story.
Yeah, they rely on Ryan's experience with warehouses.
Yeah,
We're getting some talents, their past experience.
Yeah, we got a K9 reference.
Back again.
Yeah, we got a K9 reference with 13 talking about like, oh wait, some of my best friends are robots, and and then I don't want to like, we don't have enough time for me to dive into like the messaging and stuff, but I'll say like, because I also would like edit, like make fan edits or fan vids, and the heart eyes, the soft look they give to each other at the end. There's just like, I use that clip a lot. Like I see that clip a lot. It's in my mind. That's what I think of. That, and like I also like rewrote some of it, and then also the song "Pop Goes My Heart" from like some movie. I don't know. It just reminds me of that because of the bubble wrap. But we'll go with that. And then also that moment where where she's like, "Ah, it's the Kebab Man."
Oh yeah, that's like, such a cute moment. I love it.
Yeah, there's like a meme where it's like, "Are you sure you didn't hire like the real doctor?"
Yeah, no, that's so cute.
Very doctory.
I gotta say, I feel like there's a lot of the Doctor and Yas's relationship that I definitely have not picked up on watching through, and I appreciate that you're pointing them out, because now when I finish watching these, I feel like I'm gonna pay more attention, because I feel like I was completely oblivious to most of that.
You know, I logged 13's era, almost all of it. I logged it for editing purposes, and I point out a lot of the Thasman points if you want reference.
Yeah.
I will note quickly that that's something I also appreciate with the show, is the rewatchability of this era is really good. I feel like it can sometimes sway between being very subtle and then being very in your face, but there's a lot that I think upon first watch, the reception, like people didn't notice, and I think it's kind of a treasure trove in the fact that there is so much that you can pick up upon rewatching, which I think in some ways maybe could hurt it that it wasn't as obvious as to some of the more casual viewers. But I don't know, that's another thing I just appreciate about this era that's also totally different, is something can be very subtle, but that also makes it really enjoyable in a rewatch context.
And if you're watching this and you haven't rewatched this season or Jodie's era at all,
do it.
Definitely. I'm of the opinion that most times on the first watch, I feel like people, I mean, maybe you really love it, but I feel like more people are maybe kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about it on the first watch, because there's so many expectations of what you're gonna see.
Yeah.
You have to kind of we have to adjust kind of what we're watching, because we're not sure what it's going to be. But I think there was so much pressure on this season on Jodie to be something. That something was different for everyone. And I feel like everything is always like, I mean, if it was like absolutely miserable for you, you should still try, I guess. I don't want to be able to like, I don't know, be miserable watching through it, but I do think that watching through things a second time, now that you've kind of understood, like, this is the story that we were trying to tell, totally different viewing experience. So I feel like you're able to appreciate and kind of pick up on some of those a little bit more too, now that you kind of understand the direction that they wanted to go in. Which I think is helpful.
Yeah.
Although
Okay.
you feel like Chibnall basically was trying to be a Moffat, where basically now this common bubble wrap is now dangerous. Like what?
That is a very Moffat-esque thing. That's a good point.
Those are some of my favorite stories though. Like you
Yeah.
take like a normal thing, and like it's like that is
No, it's
because,
spooky.
and plus it's like we see bubble wrap all the time, so now I get to look at bubble wrap and be like, but is this
Yeah.
the explosive bubble wrap? So
Mhm.
like it kind of grounds it in reality a little bit.
Mhm.
To me too. Like those are some of my favorite stories, hands
Mhm.
down.
Yes. So we got, well, our time is at 55 minutes, but again, we could go a little over an hour. That's
Keep
totally
going,
fine.
keep going, keep going. Witchfinders.
Yeah, but Witchfinders, I think this is one, I mean, it takes you away. Fun. But I feel like maybe you mentioned a little bit. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, the Witchfinders is one where they're like, okay, we're gonna hit the gender aspect of it right on the head, and in the historical to be like, yep, she does have to deal with stuff that male doctors haven't had to before.
Yep.
I like that it's something that's frustrating, but it's not like just something like just misery the whole time, because that's something that I can find in feminist spaces is like basically like, oh, being a woman is terrible and suffering. And I'm like, I actually really enjoy being a woman. I'm a high femme most of the days. I find a lot of joy in that. So actually not having it all just be like, this sucks is kind of refreshing, but it's not like ignoring the realities that women face. So I feel like this episode did a good job in balancing that attitude.
This episode was written and directed by women. Only the second story, Enlightenment, was the first one.
Yeah,
So
which
only
is
the second story.
bonkers to think about, the fact like all these milestones that are happening now. I'm like, this hasn't happened before, but I'm glad that they're happening. Is kind of my attitude with that.
I did like lines such as, honestly, if I was still bloke, I could get on with the job and not have to waste time defending myself.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the other one, if we're not being drowned, we're being patronized to death.
Yep. Mhm.
Yes.
So yes, we can get some zingers in there.
Yeah.
Mhm. I agree with all the above.
And again, you're getting back to the grief.
Yes, I was gonna say, and the themes of family too, tied with that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. I don't want to just talk about the episode. I also want to very briefly just say, like, I love the book. There's a novelization. I recommend it. You get more of like it is a little intense with 13's thoughts when she is targeted for this. Because it does touch on the like being reduced to just a body kind of thing. But like I think that it almost like works better as the novelization. Like when I was reading it, I was like, this is, you know, this is really good. You get some of the, maybe like some stuff that some people wouldn't get out of the show.
Maybe a little meteor.
Yeah. And then I also wanted to call out like the dialogue between 13 and King James when she's like tied up. Well, actually, also before that, because I really like the part where she's like, you want to know the secrets of existence, start with the mysteries of the heart. And what she says like right before that and after that. But I don't want to quote everything to take up time. And then also the part where he says, or no, I'll skip to when the doctor's like, it must be comforting playing that role, hiding behind a title. And then King James is like, just as you hide behind Doctor, perhaps. And I was just like, yes,
Love that.
yes, I loved that. They were phenomenal. That was great. And then I also like that it touched on some of like Yaz's mental health stuff and her backstory with Izzy Flint bullying her and stuff.
Yeah.
And how it shaped her wanting to change things and help people and stuff like that.
Yeah, which I feel like is a good segue to It Takes You Away, which I think we mentioned this before the recording. Some people not a fan of. Is this episode? Yeah, this is the episode with the frog. Some people not a fan. I find it fun and whimsical. However, I definitely agree that it's a tonal shift for sure. In this,
I love the attention they paid to detail. So things were reversed in the mirror universe. So you had the doctor's and Graham's hair part. You had the jewelry placement, the band name, even the doctor's stance using the sonic, all reversed. And it's really well done.
Also want to shout out the disability representation, having a blind actress play a blind character. You think that would be the default, but it's not in regards to disabled representation in media right now. So also gotta shout that out. But yeah, again, the themes of like grief and stuff is very. I feel like it's the most obvious in this one. I feel like for just the kind of middle episodes of the season. But yeah, really good.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the disability rep too. We have like Ellie Wellwork playing Hannah, and it's actually the first blind actor to play a blind character in Doctor Who. I like looked that up, but because I was starved for disability rep, especially like authentic disability rep. So I love that, and we also like back in like the Twitter days, like we'd also chatted a little bit about experiences on Doctor Who. And in this episode, we like go more into grief. We see like Yaz with kids a bit, but of course it's way more interesting to like have Ryan be stuck with the kid. In the script, I think Hannah is 14, but like her dad and like treats her like she's basically like 18. And things like that. And I kind of like wish there was a little more confrontation with the dad later, but overall, I love the episode. There was some really beautiful stuff with the solid tract and everything too.
I think unfortunately this is one of my least favorite episodes of the season. Because of the frog, fully because of the frog. Everything else, like the whole season has been like really inclusive, and I love that. And it's been tackling topics that we haven't really seen before, and it's been doing some really beautiful storytelling, and some of it's like really exciting, and some of it like gets down to earth. And like I felt like this one was really deep and poignant, and then they threw in the day at the end. And I was just, it felt like it undermined the whole thing for me. I was just like, we went through this whole build up, and then you threw in this is what we landed on. And I wasn't able to like enjoy it, I think, in the way it was maybe meant to be enjoyed, and having this kind of moment with Grace because of the dang frog. The frog was just, I don't know. It pulled me out of the whole thing. And I think it's unfortunate that this one little thing can do that. But it's because of that, because it just felt like it undermined the whole thing, and it's like way low on my list.
Yeah.
Frog was a bit decisive.
Yeah, the frog was definitely a choice. We have an hour and 2 minutes, so we might have to kind of switch together the battle of Ransur F. Kolos and Resolution, or just share last thoughts, just so we aren't crazy over time. I'm not sure if there's like hard deadline when we should stop, but I will just give my little tidbits. Is the Battle of Ransur of Kolos, besides being a impossible to say name, I think it's fine as an episode. It just doesn't really feel like a finale. That's my opinion. I don't dislike it as much as some people.
Back Tim Shaw, so
yeah, no, that's the thing, is like they kind of like, it's a little bow. That's kind of like what makes it finale worthy in a way, is like the kind of tie-in of him. And of course, there's again the much more confrontational like feelings of grief and loss and dealing with that. Yeah, it just doesn't quite feel finale-y to me, but it's not like bad, as it were.
Favorite quote: "What happened to never do weapons? It's a flexible creed. Doors, walls, locks, buildings. Fair game. If it can be rebuilt, I'll allow it. No, you stopped me from shooting the sniper once before. You were new. I had to lay down the law so someone's new."
I love that, because I also kind of love when the show calls out maybe the Doctor's inconsistent morals, which sometimes is just because there's so many different writers, that happens. But I just find it like fun to kind of point out in those types of moments.
And also, universe, provide for me. I'm working really hard to keep it together right now.
Yes, honestly. Yeah, and then so I actually like for series 11, the Battle of Ransur of Kolos is like, sometimes I forget it exists. It's not bad, but like I forget it exists sometimes, and I forget a lot of things. I have a memory disability, but yeah, it's not one of the ones I think of if I'm trying to name names.
Yeah,
but there are like moments from me. Yeah, there are definitely like moments and quotes and stuff that I really liked, and I do remember specifically. but for whatever reason don't associate it. But I'm with you, whatever happens. And then of course the doctor is saying, keep your faith, travel hopefully, the universe will surprise you constantly. That was literally how I wrapped up another pre-record panel yesterday, was quoting that one, I think.
That is a great quote.
It
yeah,
is.
and that one was check out that panel too. That is about like community engagement with Whovians and everything. The yeah, and then I love like the random, sometimes like the little throwaway lines are so funny, like the doctor like inventing wellies partially, and then we get more like confrontation with Graham, and I kind of felt like some of like Ryan and Graham, a lot of their stuff, or at least Graham's, like really kind of wraps up series 11, their main like arcs done, and then like Ryan gets a bit more later on, but Graham's he gets pretty good.
Yeah, because in the previous episode, he's actually called Grandpa.
Yeah. I feel like Ryan and Graham are kind of the main focus
that
of
was his
series
thing.
11, at least their relationship specifically, like with those two, in regards to like the companion triangle, is like probably the biggest focus in my opinion for this series.
Yeah, and that was like Graham's like I wish thing, was wanting to be granddad there. So he got that. He's good to go, life complete. Like like he's good to go there. Yeah. I didn't write notes for this one.
Oh yeah, that's fine. If there aren't more thoughts, we could jump onto just resolution, just to tie it like a little bow. I love this. I think it was great. Chibnall knows how to write Dalek stories, hands down. Like he has my favorite Dalek stories besides like the titular Dalek from series 1. Again, maybe that's recency bias, because I do tend to watch 13's era more often, partially because I have the nice Blu-ray DVDs I got for Christmas last year. But I really love it. I don't have a ton like character-wise like that pop up on my head, other than this is a freaking good Dalek story, and I'm happy. I also appreciate the first explicitly non-Christian character, as someone who is an actively non-Christian now. I'm very active in my local Buddhist community. I appreciate them being like, we're not going to have a Christmas special, actually. Like people complain about the kind of not having that tradition, and like, okay, this is, you know, that could comment about cultural Christianity's giant force, but I think that's really cool. Even if they didn't explore, I guess, religion with a companion as much as I think would be cool. But that's also something I appreciate, is that's a New Year's special. Also, I didn't do anything on New Year's except for my Buddhist Center's New Year's Day meeting. So I'm like, Buddhist meeting, New Year Doctor Who episode. This is all I need. But yeah, I love this episode. Oh, wait, looking over at the Wikipedia page, definitely also ties in great stuff with family themes and grief with Ryan, especially because there can be a lot of grief in having a more neglectful parent that isn't as immediate obvious as like a death. That gives me a lot of kind of feels in how they approach that. Love 13 calling out his dad for being, I mean, a non-present neglectful dad, but also appreciate how they approached it, not in like a mentality of like, you need to forgive him for everything he's done wrong, but like trying to reveal the relationship can be a part of healing. I don't know. I feel like it's a complicated subject that was approached well.
Yeah. And having Graham basically saying some things, and the doctor basically going, oh, you're good, Ryan's dad. You're almost making up for your parenting defect.
Yeah, that's what I meant. We're like calling him out. Like, I love it.
I need 13 to confront mine. Like, I would love that. No, I love that aspect. I love that. And also like furthering Ryan's development and everything. Although he doesn't come back again after this, I don't think, but then like landing on Graham's wooden chair, like, well, if you will be leaving chairs around the place, it's my living room. Like,
that's another really good like comedic. There's a lot of really good comedic bits with her era.
Is that your intruder alert or mine? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just hear beeping
story for Daleks again, and having them split up that whole historical piece. That was lovely.
Yeah.
And the other one was, the fact that the Daleks can control people. like puppets riding on their
Yeah.
backs. Like that was making Daleks spooky again.
They made Daleks scary again with just one. I thought, I love this episode. It's like great Dalek reboot for me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
who would have expected
Yeah.
that? That was creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's nice
Yeah.
though, like because I think we knew that the Daleks were coming back before the episode came out. If I'm remembering, now it feels like ages ago. If I'm remembering right, I feel like we maybe knew that the Daleks were coming back, and it's the first time with Jodie that we got a monster that's shown up before.
Yeah, and I really like that she got to kind of show her teeth in a way.
Yeah.
Like she has this like kind of like just like evil grin that she not like evil,
Yeah.
but like pretty intimidating grin that she has when.
And we get some like we get some like
Yeah.
what do you call that look? Junkyard chic.
Yes. So
Iconic.
that's also a really fun aspect of the characters that we get to
Yeah.
kind of see really up front and center with this episode.
Yeah. We also like there's another thing that I didn't even like realize until recently was like the Doctor fully would have just forgotten Graham after sending him to get peanut butter, like if she wasn't like reminded. And then I personally refer to this episode because there's a lot of like the specials are like all starting like with R and they all have Daleks and stuff. I don't know. So my personal way of remembering this one is like usually I'll call it like the Thasman Het AU or like Ryan's dad. Went the one with Ryan's dad.
The one with Ryan's dad, yeah, that works really well.
And then I do want to call out, I don't remember as much about like the politics and stuff at the time, but I do remember the reference, where 13's like, I gotta call Kate, gotta call unit. And it's just like, security helpline. I'm just checking. All unit operations were put on hold following financial disputes and subsequent funding withdrawal by UK's major international partners. Other armed services are available if you answer the question. Whatever. I was like,
We're getting references to Brexit.
Yeah, that was a very explicit reference to Brexit, aka leaving the European Union, which was a very conservative, very people would argue now very dumb decision. In the UK. Yeah.
You also had a Netflix joke too, because it's taking down the internet, and you had the family just upset about the fact they had to talk to each other instead of.
That was a bit of a boomer joke, but I'll give it a pass. That one I was like, I kind of rolled my eyes at, but I'll let it pass. I'll let you know. Throw that in.
I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you first.
Oh, I want to do a shout out like for the season overall. Like, really wasn't pulling any punches. Like throughout, because they also like as commentary on like things currently happening at the time. That came up in the Arachnids one as well with the American businessmen commenting kind of on the state of the US politics as well. They did not like shy away from anything really.
Yeah, that is something that I definitely appreciate is like how it reflects, and I feel like the next Dalek special is even more applicable to that, to like the times we were living in when it came out. And I was like, Chibnall, do you have like a fortune telling ball or something? Anyways, but we can say that for the next panel.
I just remembered some more like unhinged Mandip tweets. But anyway, it was fun times. And then I think this probably fits in best with series 11 because I just wanted to like do a little shout out or book recommendation for Sophie Aldred's book At Childhood's End.
I still got to read it. I know I'd enjoy it.
It's good.
Yeah, I'll just say like from what I remember, like series 11 hadn't even aired yet, so she had like very limited information to go off of working on that book. But I think the characterization was really good, and she like fully like these are the characters. But I won't say too much about it, but I do love that like that it's like the Doctor facing consequences kind of thing too. I love that element of it as well. But yeah, I've got a book review out there. I'm sure I would rate these little book reviews after I'd read them, so can look that up.
Do you have some final thoughts on kind of like the season as a whole and how that worked as Jodie's sort of welcome to the universe?
it needs to be watched more than once because that way
Yeah.
you appreciate all the little throwaway lines that go by really fast.
Mhm.
And like you say, you watch it several times. You spotting things that you didn't see the first time through.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the show sometimes
Americans are basically trying to catch the accent first, and then
yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah, definitely subtitles appreciated. Yeah, I think sometimes it's a little too. It could be less subtle in some ways, and a little if they just like the median it a little bit more. I think that would help with the overall reception of it. But I still really enjoy it. I think I definitely enjoyed it. I feel like more than the average viewer, or trolls can be loud and haters love to yell, but I still really enjoy it. I just think, yeah, having a little bit more obvious through lines would have helped just the like kind of cohesion of this specific season, just because it is very much like standalone episodes compared to the other two. But I still love it. Is my kind of final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with the through line, and I think when this first came out, I had a really hard time with that because we were used to having more of like an
Very
overarching
clear.
storyline. And I've gone back
Mhm.
and watched like classic episodes from like a bunch of different series. So like when I was watching through like Star Trek, like there's a clear moment where it stopped being episodic and it was more of like a through line, like
Mhm.
with TNG. And there's like a different difference, and I know I have a preference when there's like a through line rather than being episodic. So like that, I think that was a little tough for me. But I think also like now that there's been a little bit of distance before this, I feel like I've been able to appreciate this season a bit more than the first even couple times that I've
Mhm.
watched through. A lot of it's just fun.
Mhm.
And I think too, like it's some of the first times where I feel I don't know that I haven't felt included before, but I felt seen
Yeah,
in this
a bit more
season.
actively
Right.
included in a way.
Yeah. And that for me is lovely. Like that's a really nice note. So like I mean I not all the episodes jive with me. I mean not all episodes in any season is going to be like my favorite.
Mhm.
But there were some like really beautiful moments. And I feel like they were putting some real intention and thought into how they were bringing all these different kind of perspectives and representation and stories and all these things together. Like it feels like a really good intro into a doctor. So I think
Mhm.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that yeah, more and more since it's aired, I think it'll be appreciated more over time.
Mhm.
And like folks will notice or like derive new opinions if they rewatch it. Like you like even
Yeah.
just like that with Thasmin, like noticing more things early
Mhm.
on. Even if it wasn't like originally planned for series 11, those things are there and like you might not have noticed. And
Mhm.
then of course there are some of us who are just like oh my gosh.
Yeah, looking at each
But
little
yeah,
detail.
you
Mhm.
get a new experience, and I love it when things have like rewatch value, and of course
Mhm.
Doctor Who has a lot of rewatch value in general, at least. So
Yeah.
there's always more, and there's always the expanded universe as well. And one
Mhm.
of my favorite things is just like if this isn't a doctor or a writer that you vibe with, you can just like come back later because
Mhm.
it's this endless story. It's beautiful in that
Yeah,
way.
Mhm. Yeah,
100%.
that's lovely.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're reaching time, right?
Well, yeah, it's 1 hour and 18 minutes, so we have gone past time. So I think this is a great
Okay.
time to end, and we can continue conversations for series 12 and 13 once we get them recorded.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching and joining. Yeah, this panel's on series 11, but you should definitely come back and check out the series 12 and 13s that we're having. And then if we like want to go around one more time, do our names and socials or final messages, we can do that. But yeah.
I'm Katherine. I realized I just followed you on Tumblr. I'm Silvermoon442 on most things. And you will see me write like essays in the comment section of AO3. That's my fandom contribution. Yeah.
I'm Katherine Sullivan. I write middle grade fantasy and science fiction. I also contribute to things such as reviews of the classic episodes and Outside In. I will be, if you're at the con, I'm in the Artist Alley, and I will have copies of the book with me.
I'm Amber. I'm also an outside in. So if you see me around, I know I'm on several panels if you're there in person. Otherwise, I'm at like a million conventions. I'm also an artist, but I will not be an artist alley. I'm going to be doing too many panels and just enjoying being a Whovian, I think. So you can find me online. I'm on Blue Sky Instagram as Raden Studios because I'm also an artist as so you'll see a lot of art stuff on there too. But if you want to talk about this in particular, happy to talk about it on socials as well.
And then I'm Charlie. My pronouns are they, them. I will not be at Console Room in person. I am across the country. But you can find me online. I'm not quite as active on socials right now, but I have accounts all over the place. You can find them all connected to my link tree, which is just the URL is linktr.ee/she regenerated 1 and 3 for 13. And then you can find like, this is like my watercolor art of 13 regenerating. And then I have some other stuff back there. I just moved, so like not much of my stuff is up, but I've got all sorts of fun things to check out. And I love being involved with the community. Yeah, I don't, I guess that's everything. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching. Check out the other panels and console room.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Cut.